Have you been following Sophie Cunningham and what's happened? I know you're a big sports fan, the WNBA. She's been targeted, elbowed for her beliefs. I mean, she basically believes girls' sports should be protected. I was a college athlete, and this is an issue near and dear to my heart and so many women across the country.
Yeah, of course.
Your reaction to what's happened to her?
Well, I just think, look, sometimes when you're courageous in this country, some of the worst people in the world try to attack you. What I would tell Sophie and anybody else is keep speaking your mind. You actually are inspiring a dozen people for every person that criticizes you. And we cannot take our country back. We cannot save the United States of America unless you have people.
The sports world just exploded into pure, unadulterated chaos. And the WNBA, as we know it, is officially in critical condition. What started as a standard physical examination has detonated into an international political nuclear war, pushing the entire league straight off a cliff. Inside a high-security medical facility, a routine pregame physical for superstar Brittney Griner ended with a classified medical report leaking directly into the hands of the White House. The doctor's findings were so utterly unprecedented, so earth-shattering, that Vice President J.D. Vance personally intervened, exploding into a frantic, high-stakes confrontation that left league officials paralyzed with absolute terror. Insiders report Vance went completely mental during a closed-door briefing, screaming at executives, demanding immediate suspensions, and threatening to invoke federal intervention to shut down the season. But Brittney Griner isn't backing down without burning the entire system to the ground. As rumors of rigged lab results and a dark political setup sweep through locker rooms, players across the country are staging secret boycotts. Coaches are threatening mass resignations, and Commissioner Cathy Engelbert is trapped in the center of an absolute nightmare. The entire league is on the verge of total collapse, and what happened inside that doctor's office is about to alter American sports forever. To fully understand how the WNBA reached this terrifying point of absolute destruction, you have to look back at the quiet, simmering resentment that has been poisoning the league's locker rooms for months. Long before this catastrophic medical report hit the press, the league was already walking on thin ice. Brittney Griner had spent years attempting to rebuild her life, her career, and her legacy following her agonizing ordeal overseas. She returned to the court as a symbol of resilience, carrying the weight of an entire organization on her shoulders. However, behind the scenes, a dark and bitter divide was tearing the league apart. Rising stars like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Buchers were rapidly transforming the financial and cultural landscape of women's basketball, drawing unprecedented crowds, massive brand deals, and millions of eyes. But with that explosive growth came intense jealousy, toxic locker room rivalries, and growing political scrutiny. Conservative politicians and federal figures had already been watching the WNBA like hawks, searching for any reason to intervene, criticize, and dismantle the league's progressive image. Griner was constantly caught in the crossfire of this massive cultural war, serving as both a target for political attacks and a shield for a league desperately trying to protect its bottom line. Every game felt less like a basketball contest and more like a high-stakes political battlefield. Insiders reveal that behind closed doors, veteran players felt immense pressure to maintain the league's dominance, while league officials were quietly working behind the scenes to control the narrative at all costs. Commissioner Cathy Engelbert and team executives knew that one single misstep, one scandal, could tear down the billion-dollar empire they were trying so desperately to build. Griner herself was privately reaching her emotional breaking point, exhausted from being used as a pawn by political commentators and league marketers alike. She just wanted to play the game she loved, but the forces aligning against her were far bigger than basketball. Deep within the league's administrative corridors, secret files and whispers of impending regulatory investigations had already begun to circulate. Opposing team owners were growing paranoid, demanding stricter enforcement, tighter medical protocols, and complete transparency. The emotional strain on Griner was unbearable, as rumors circulated that certain powerful factions wanted her removed from the sport entirely to satisfy political agendas. The stage was set for a massive explosion. The league was a ticking time bomb of hidden motives, intense personal rivalries, deep betrayal, and political hostility, waiting for just one spark to ignite the entire structure. Nobody could have predicted that the spark would come from a routine medical room, carrying a secret so explosive that it would drag the White House straight into the heart of the WNBA. The ticking time bomb finally detonated on a brisk Tuesday morning during what was supposed to be a standard, routine health screening ahead of a major primetime matchup. Brittney Griner walked into the private clinic expecting nothing more than the usual blood draws, physical stress tests, and heart monitors. But as the lead cardiologist pulled up her diagnostic panels, the atmosphere inside the examination room turned ice cold. The doctors stared at the monitors in complete, horrified disbelief. The blood markers, cellular data, and underlying physiological readouts were so wildly erratic, so completely off the charts, that the head physician immediately ordered a full security lockdown of the medical center. Word of the bizarre diagnostic results bypassed standard league channels entirely, leaking within minutes directly to high-ranking officials in the federal government. Before Commissioner Kathy Engelbert could even process the emergency phone call from the clinic, Vice President J.D. Vance personally got involved. Sources inside the Capitol reveal that Vance went absolutely ballistic upon receiving the confidential file. In a furious, closed-door emergency video call with league executives, Vance was visibly shaking with rage, pounding his fist on the table and accusing the WNBA of orchestrating a massive, multi-year cover-up. He blasted the league for gross negligence, screaming that the medical results proved the entire league was fundamentally compromised and operating under fraudulent pretenses. The atmosphere transformed from a sports dispute into a national security crisis. Vance didn't just demand an investigation. He went mental, threatening to immediately freeze all federal funding, pull corporate sponsorships, and launch a sweeping Department of Justice probe into the WNBA's medical compliance. The room was paralyzed with terror. Executive after executive sat in stunned silence as Vance delivered an ultimatum: suspend Brittney Griner permanently within 24 hours, or face the total, forced shutdown of the entire league. Then came the first catastrophic twist that sent shockwaves straight through the sports world. As Griner's legal team rushed to challenge the validity of the clinic's report, a secret whistleblower within the laboratory leaked an unredacted copy of the raw medical data straight to national news outlets. The leaked document revealed something far more sinister than a simple medical anomaly. The test results didn't just show abnormal levels. They contained synthetic chemical markers that could only be present if Griner's medical samples had been deliberately tampered with and chemically altered inside the lab. Griner was not suffering from a hidden medical issue. She had been systematically set up. Someone with top-level security clearance had intentionally rigged the doctor's results to create a medical pretext for her permanent removal from professional basketball. As news of the sabotage swept through social media, locker rooms erupted into absolute pandemonium. Griner confronted team management in a fiery, tears of rage emotional breakdown, screaming that she was being framed by corrupt political figures desperate to destroy her. The league was now engulfed in a nightmare of betrayal, conspiracy, and pure, unadulterated chaos. The revelation of tampered medical files ignited a raging inferno that burned through every single locker room in the country. What was once a high-stakes medical mystery morphed overnight into an explosive, all-out civil war within the WNBA. Players were no longer just furious, they were terrified. If a superstar of Brittney Griner's caliber could be targeted, framed, and systematically set up by shadowy political forces, no player in the league was safe. Tension inside the arenas reached an unbearable boiling point as team captains held emergency, late-night video conferences, openly discussing a total, league-wide strike that would paralyze the remainder of the season. During pre-game warm-ups, the psychological warfare was plain to see. Stars like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Buchers exchanged cold, tense glances with league representatives patrolling the sidelines. The sheer paranoia was overwhelming. Nobody knew who to trust. Teammates whispered in private corners, eyeing their own medical staff with intense suspicion, terrified that their personal health records were being monitored or manipulated. Outside the venues, thousands of passionate fans clashed with angry protesters in intense, shouting standoffs, with riot police struggling to keep control as the news of J.D. Vance's federal ultimatum leaked to the press. In Washington, Vance doubled down with ruthless intensity. Refusing to back off, He appeared on national television, fiercely denying any government wrongdoing while accusing Griner and her supporters of inventing a wild conspiracy theory to dodge accountability. He aggressively demanded that federal auditors be granted full, unrestricted access to every WNBA medical department. Behind closed doors, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert was hyperventilating, trapped between an enraged White House demanding Griner's immediate removal and a unified coalition of players threatening to walk out forever if Griner was sidelined based on corrupted data. Then, just as the league teetered on the brink of total annihilation, the second major twist dropped like a megaton bomb. An anonymous digital security unit breached the medical facility's internal database and published a series of encrypted text messages and voice memos online. The leaked files exposed a shocking betrayal from within the league's highest inner circle. The sabotage hadn't been orchestrated by an outside political agent alone. It was planned with the direct, secret cooperation of an elite WNBA team owner and a top league executive. Deeply terrified by rising financial costs and eager to align with powerful political figures, this rogue owner had actively facilitated the lab tampering to force Griner out and reshape the league's entire public identity. When Griner discovered that one of her own trusted league bosses had signed off on the plot to destroy her career, she completely snapped, launching into an explosive, tear-filled confrontation in the lobby of a team hotel that had to be broken up by security. The betrayal was complete. The league's integrity was shattered, and absolute chaos now reigned supreme. The devastating exposure of internal league betrayal sent shockwaves tearing through the heart of American culture, igniting an unprecedented firestorm of emotional trauma, public fury, and total institutional breakdown. The WNBA was no longer just dealing with a scandal, it was witnessing the complete psychological collapse of its entire organization. Broadcast networks abruptly pulled promotional campaigns, corporate sponsors frantically canceled multi-million-dollar endorsement deals, and ticket sales plummeted overnight as horrified fans realized the sport they loved had been weaponized from the very top. Inside team facilities, the emotional damage was heartbreaking. Players were breaking down in tears in locker rooms, openly sobbing during post-game press conferences, and refusing to step onto the court. The atmosphere was thick with toxic distrust and overwhelming despair. Team chemistry vanished instantly, replaced by toxic arguments, paranoid accusations, and intense grief. Emerging stars like Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell sat in silence during team meetings, visibly shaken by the terrifying reality that their careers, safety, and personal integrity were completely at the mercy of corrupt executives and ruthless politicians. For Brittney Griner, the emotional fallout was a terrifying nightmare from which she couldn't wake up. She locked herself inside her home, completely isolated, haunted by the crushing betrayal of leaders she had trusted for over a decade. Her phone buzzed nonstop with millions of death threats, vitriolic political attacks, and invasive media requests, driving her to the absolute brink of total exhaustion. Friends reported she was completely devastated, consumed by a suffocating sense of helplessness as her name was dragged through the mud on every single cable news network across the country. Social media erupted into a war zone of absolute madness. Millions of viral posts, heated live streams, and trending hashtags pitted fan bases directly against one another. Protests exploded outside WNBA headquarters in New York, with passionate supporters holding signs calling for justice alongside angry counter-demonstrators demanding the league be dismantled entirely. The sheer level of public rage was staggering. Commentators on national television openly debated whether the WNBA could ever recover from such a deep, systemic moral failure. In a frantic effort to contain the disaster, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert held an emergency press conference, her voice trembling and her eyes red with exhaustion as she begged the public for calm. But her words fell on deaf ears. The public had lost all faith in the system. Players openly defied league directives on live TV, wearing black warm-up shirts stamped with messages of protest, while head coaches refused to answer basketball-related questions, using their media availability to denounce the league's leadership. The WNBA's brand was completely tarnished, its integrity shredded, and the emotional toll on every athlete involved had pushed the entire sport to the absolute point of no return. Just when the sports world believed the nightmare had reached its absolute limit, a terrifying new revelation emerged from the shadows that threatened to burn the entire American sports apparatus to the ground. Late on a Friday night, as the league scrambled to issue a statement of order, an encrypted file arrived directly on the personal devices of every single team captain across the country. The source was a high-level whistleblower buried deep within the federal government's Intelligence Oversight Committee. When players decrypted the documents, what they discovered was a secret far more sinister, far more expansive, and far more explosive than a single rigged medical report. The tampered laboratory results were never meant to stop with Brittney Griner. The leaked classified master plan revealed that Griner was merely the trial subject in a massive, covert government initiative codenamed Operation Clean Slate. Deep within the leaked files were falsified medical profiles, altered drug panels, and rigged genetic markers already pre-manufactured for over 15 elite superstars across the WNBA, including Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese, and Paige Buchers. The dark objective was simple yet terrifying. Powerful political operatives and rogue league executives had engineered a foolproof mechanism to selectively frame, suspend, or disqualify any athlete who dared to challenge the political establishment or refuse corporate compliance. The entire league had been turned into a controlled chessboard, where players could be eliminated at a moment's notice using fabricated medical evidence. But before the players could even digest the sheer horror of this discovery, an urgent breaking news bulletin flashed across television screens nationwide. Vice President J.D. Vance announced an impromptu, live Oval Office address scheduled for midnight, dropping a hint that he possessed undeniable national security evidence regarding the WNBA that would leave the country speechless. Simultaneously, federal agents in unmarked black SUVs descended upon the WNBA headquarters in New York and the private training facility where Griner was staying. Panic exploded through the league as rumors spread that emergency arrest warrants had been signed under executive power, targeting not the corrupt executives who orchestrated the plot, but Griner herself and key player union leaders for alleged conspiracy and federal fraud. Inside her secure room, Griner stood near the window, staring down at the flashing red and blue strobe lights bouncing off the glass as federal officers began knocking aggressively at the door. With the vice president seconds away from taking the podium on national television, the league's entire roster united in a frantic, secret signal to initiate a total shutdown. But as live broadcast feeds across every major network glitched, froze, and went completely black right as Vance stepped up to the microphone, one final, agonizing question hung over the dark screens. Is this the tragic end of the WNBA as we know it? Or are we about to witness the most dangerous war in sports history? This is without a doubt the most explosive, career-shattering scandal in the entire history of American sports. The WNBA is hanging by an absolute thread, and the truth behind Operation Clean Slate is finally threatening to expose everyone involved from the locker rooms all the way to the White House. Now we want to hear directly from you. Was Brittney Griner deliberately targeted to bring down the entire league? Or is there an even deeper political cover-up still waiting in the shadows? How far do you think Vice President J.D. Vance will go before this war is over? Sound off in the comments below with your thoughts right now because this story is evolving by the minute. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on all notifications so you never miss a single breaking update on this massive WNBA disaster.